Good evening. Welcome back to Let's Talk the Talk, episode 6 here. I'm glad you guys are checking in right now. I have a special guest in here tonight. He's one of my favorite people to talk to when he comes into the office. Always gives me inspirational words, inspirational courage, and just all around just to check up on me, just to see like how am I doing. This is Clifton Bright.
Right.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. For the people that are watching, can you give a little background about yourself?
Sure. I'm glad to be here. It's an honor. My name's Clifton Bright. I am a junior, which means there's a senior around somewhere. Most people don't know. Senior lives in Tennessee.
Okay. He's all the way out there.
Yeah, so he's in Tennessee. So I use junior whenever you're talking about some business or something. So we don't get mixed up.
I like that, though. You're talking about business. You get that junior in.
So I am a licensed clinical professional counselor. I have a private practice called Bright House Counseling and Coaching. Started 3 years ago. Wanted to let it grow organically and didn't know I had set a goal by the end of 2021 to be full-time private practice. And December 28th, 2021, I started full-time private practice. So
you starting away. You kind of blew up a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Blew up faster than I thought it would.
See, we were talking about earlier. Way faster than what you thought. Way faster than what you thought. I wanted to hop into something real quick. Was you being able to relate to the younger youth. I see some young clients coming in, and then sometimes when we talk, I do a lot. So how do you get, to be relatable? Because I know certain young folks, when they get the older person, they're like, man, I ain't listening to
I'm not talking.
Yeah, like I'm not talking to this dude.
I'm not talking to this dude.
What does he know? So how do you, put yourself out there to be relatable or like understanding to the young people? Because I think that the younger movement, like we have a lot of things going on. But I feel like sometimes the older generation be like, well, you ain't really experienced nothing. You just going through a little something, like a little phase.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, I'll answer your question first. I think the biggest thing is it does help that I have a 15-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old. It does help that because I have to relate to them. But also, you guys, your generation is the authenticity generation. That's what I call you guys. So y'all don't want nothing fake.
No.
So if you're gonna relate to young people today, you don't try to be a young person. Like I'm 47. I'm not afraid to say that. I don't look 47, but I'm 47. So I don't try to run around here like I'm 20. But what I do is I show up as my authentic self, and young people gravitate towards that. Man, I'm just real. I'm real. So being real and creating an atmosphere where they feel like they can put their guards down and be themselves. They don't feel like they're being judged. That's how I relate to them. Also, part of it is I don't discount that we're gifted to do certain things as well. So I think a part of it too is I'm gifted and called to it. And I've always thought I was a person that could relate to anybody because I have clients all over the age spectrum. Youngest client now is 11.
Oh, wow.
I don't really. And every clinician should have their wheelhouse, where they really shine. Where you're really showing up at your greatest capacity and not try to be a jack all trades master of none. Because what typically happens when you first come into the field, man, you take anybody.
I was just about to ask you.
You're just happy to help people. So you're like, man, I don't care. You'd be like, I have this thing going on. You think you can help me? Oh, yeah, sure. And then you at home at night, now you're just flipping through everything, trying to, okay, how am I going to help them? But then as you get some experience, spend some time in the field, you start creating your niche. Okay. So these are the people that I specifically work with and get great results from. Once you start seeing that, then your results start getting better because you know who your ideal client is.
Okay, so you kind of, like you said, you create your like little niche, and then you specifically, picked. I can understand. Has there been anyone where you're just starting out, and like you said, you just take anybody? Is there like one case like that you were just like, oh no, I think think I bit off a little way more than I can chew.
Oh yeah, I've had a few. Any clinician that'll be honest will tell you sometimes they sit across there because I don't know if you've ever engaged in therapy, but as a therapist who goes to therapy himself, and I always endorse that for other clinicians that you go to therapy yourself, because if you're so locked into what you do and you really believe in the process of therapy and counseling, why not engage in it yourself? Because we're humans as well.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense too. Me thinking just in general, I would think that, someone in your field would just be like, oh no, I don't need to. Because, I deal with a lot of people talking to me, and then it's like, you process and you're like, well, do I really want to talk to someone else? But I like how you advertise that, and endorse it like, no, I still got to have someone I talk to. So I think that's something that's pretty unique to me.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be, because we're talking about mental health, right? There's a difference between mental health and mental health disorder. Some people don't want to talk about mental health because they think if you talk about mental health, you're saying something's wrong with me. I'm crazy. I have some disorder. You're going to put me on medication, throw me in the hospital, in some psych ward. But mental health is what's going on with you emotionally, mentally, your ability to do day-to-day life, your ability to handle challenges without severe disruption. That's what comprises of good mental health. And that can come from all different areas of your life, which help you in that specific area. So it's what you eat affects your mental health. How you sleep affects your mental health. Even the amount of water you drink every day affects your mental health. Your environment can affect your mental health. Biological factors. Some mental health disorders are passed on genetically. So many factors affect mental health. And like I said, the difference between mental health and mental health disorder or mental illness is you have a diagnosable disorder, which has to hit certain factors and has to be going on for a certain amount of time. So, for instance, generalized anxiety disorder. It's not just you being anxious about something, because you might be getting ready to ask some young lady out that you've been checking out, right?
Gotcha.
And you're worried about, am I going to get rejected? Or am I going to get a number? So then you're like, oh boy, you might start sweating. Heart might start racing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you might talk yourself in and out of going up to her 5 to 10 times. Typical. All of us experience some anxiety. But when you're talking about a generalized anxiety disorder, you're talking about you have these persistent symptoms that go on for at least 6 months or more, which affect your life. So it could be excessive worry about different areas of your life, work, school, relationships, your health. That's when you're talking about an anxiety disorder.
Okay.
As opposed to, like I said, if you got a test tomorrow,
you're going to have a little
you might have some anxiety.
I feel like nowadays that's one of like the main things that like this generation has, like anxiety. Like, how does that? I'm not sure. Like you just explained it, but like, how does that come up with like I see a lot of young people, and it's always this anxiety to go out, this anxiety to do this. How does that happen?
Look, and remember, anxiety is always rooted in the unknown.
Okay.
So we're not just talking about a fear of something. If you're dealing with anxiety, it is worry, or it's worry thoughts. That's what's rooted in the thinking aspect of it. The feeling of it is the anxiety feelings. And that's rooted in, I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So anxiety is never rooted in knowing. It's always rooted in the unknown.
So I think a lot of people it's just that unknown factor that always gets to them. Is there any tips or anything that you can try to give someone out there that's going through a little bit of the anxiety?
Oh yeah, if you're dealing with anxiety, one of the first tips I would give somebody is, and remember, there's a difference between an anxiety disorder and just having a period of anxiety. The first thing is to know that you're not weird or stupid or weak, which is one of the biggest things with mental health and mental illness and these stigmas. A mental health disorder is a medical condition. You know what I mean?
It is.
It is. It's a medical condition. Like, if my arm's hurting and it's been hurting for 3 to 4 days, and this may or may not happen because I'm a man, I should probably go set an appointment with my primary care doctor and get checked out, right? Well, if you're struggling with your mood, you know what I mean? And you may feel like you're more irritable than you usually are, or you feel like you can't get out the bed, or things start to lose their appeal to you. Like, I used to love this, but now I don't even care about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe you need to go get checked out. Maybe you need to go talk to somebody. Because just like anything else, if I go check out my arm that's hurting and I don't continue to do activities with it, maybe I reduce the amount of damage done if something is going on. Same thing mentally. If something's going on with with my thoughts, and something's going on with my feelings and my emotions, because your feelings give you clues. You know,
I like that. I like that.
Your feelings give you clues. But for 1,000 different reasons, some people might avoid how they feel.
I understand that part. Yeah. Do you still think that like stigma of, maybe talking to someone makes me crazy is still out there a whole lot, which is why people don't usually see someone to talk to?
Oh yeah, especially in our community. It's getting better.
It's definitely getting better. I've seen certain people on my feeds and on my posts that that are actually being like, man, this helped me out a whole lot than what I thought about it going in. Maybe I'm crazy. When someone always tells me they're crazy, I'm like, tell me someone who isn't. Everyone always has a little bit of like craziness in them, or that's something that other people don't think is right. So I am happy to see that we are definitely, in this community that we're gonna go get help, that we're trying to get help. Do you think that there are some clinics that will be closer to like communities that will help it out, or because I think somewhat of us is like the transportation to get there? Because sometimes I don't really see anyone like, other than you, I don't really see no one like local. Like, they gotta travel a little bit ways out.
Yeah. And they have you have community health clinics here in this county, and in Baltimore County and in Baltimore City, and a lot of them provide transportation. Then you have private practices that are in the area. I think the thing is, it depends on what circles you run in. Like the conversation we're having now. How many black men are having these type of conversations with one another? So it's like, if you're not having these conversations, then you're not aware of what's out there. And if you think about it, generationally and from a historical standpoint, we have always rode the fact that we're strong. I can take anything, no matter what happens. Mm-hmm. I gut it out, tough it out, bruh. Don't be no punk.
Yeah.
You're all right. People need you. You don't have no time to quit.
Those are the ones.
Everybody asks us, how you doing? I'm good, bro. I'm good. And inside, you're devastated. Nobody knows you go to your room and cry every night. Nobody knows you're getting high and drunk to keep those thoughts and those feelings at bay. Nobody knows you jump from woman to woman to try to make yourself feel like you have value. We don't talk about this stuff. No. We just say, that's what I do. And we just say, keep it pushing, bro. Keep it. Man, my man's strong, bro. It's a lot of strong guys. Yeah.
But strong guys need to let it out too, man. Like, absolutely. Because you saying that and just building and building and building. And then that's when they have, what's the word? Like an episode maybe?
Oh, yeah. That's
you would have, like, or a breakdown, from all that build up.
Yeah. That's when you have these disruptions. When the things you're using to cope don't work anymore. When the things you use to soothe don't work anymore. Or the things you use to soothe hurt you more than they help you. You know what I mean? Exactly. Just think about it. If you get drunk, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect you physically. It's going to remove your thought process from what you're dealing with. But then after
After a couple,
after that buzz leave.
after a couple.
Yeah, and the hangover show up. Guess what? Whatever you pick that drink up for to escape is still there. So I tell, we got a lot of, especially young people that smoke, man.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. I ain't look. You do what you decide to do. I'm not here to play no non-smoke or smoke advocate or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, I tell young people that do, I say, that helps you escape. It helps you go away, but it doesn't make your problem go away.
No,
you know what I mean?
You're right.
So you go away because it creates this feeling for you, but it doesn't make your problem go away. Whatever you're doing, like if you're doing it to escape those things or to get temporary relief, that's all it's going to be.
It's just temporarily.
Yeah, it's temporary. And then anything that's temporary, I have to continue to go to.
So now it becomes a real habit, like a real move.
Yeah. And like I said, no judgment. And that's the beauty of therapy, because therapy is non-judgmental.
I mean, that's where a lot of people benefit from it.
Yeah, you come in that room, nobody's judging you, nobody's criticizing you. You're not getting put on punishment.
Nope.
You might talk to your parents, phone might get taken, allowance cut off. They're not letting you outside. They're not letting
you do nothing.
But when you come in therapy, we set up that safe space, especially for men. I love working with teenagers and men, because especially teenage males, because we often don't have safe spaces to tell anybody what's going on with me. And there's this pressure to perform and this pressure to always show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even if you're exhausted, you're scared to tell anybody. One, you might not think they care anyway. Two, you may have never had anybody model for you that it's okay to say I'm not okay.
I think you hear something real good there that they don't have. As you said, there's just like, oh no, you tough, and then that gets instilled to the next generation and ongoing. It's just, if we have more role models to be like, nah, man, like it's okay to be like, yo, I'm struggling right now, and you just need to go and just talk to someone and get your mental right. I think it'll be a whole lot different in this world now. But I think that we had this old mentality instilled that it's like a hard cycle to break. And it takes that like one individual, but you don't ever know in that generational gap is when you're going to get that one person.
Yeah. Now, in this, believe it or not, there are a lot of like Black male clinicians across the country.
Really?
Yeah. But it's just, you have so many people across the country that you know what I mean? You can always use more. And for some people, there's something about representation. There's something about looking at somebody that looks like you that can make you drop your guard some.
Eases you out a little bit.
Yeah, because everybody has, let's be real, everybody has what we call implicit biases and what we think something is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if anybody tries to say, nah, that's not me, that's not true. Everybody has, kind of these preconceived notions of what something looks like. And if that thing comes off as not favorable or negative to you, you may try to avoid it. So sometimes just seeing somebody that presents a certain way can open you up.
I never thought about it like that.
You know what I mean?
I knew on some point where, like, I did think about it. I was like, at one point I was like, well, if I do go, like, what if I get some like random old white dude? It's like, how can I tell him that, sometimes, people cross the street because he see me walking on one side of the street. It's like, how is he going to get what I'm getting from if it never happened to him or that he knows more about it?
Now, it's not that he can't connect with you, because do you know the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Oh, I want to say yes, but I'm going to say, I want you to explain it.
Okay. So sympathy, because they sound real similar. Sympathy is basically, I feel bad for you. Your experience, I'm like, oh man, you know how people love to say, I'm so sorry. Like when you have somebody that unfortunately passes away or transitions, You get your Facebook feed blows up with "I'm so sorry for your loss, so sorry, so sad, praying for you and your family. I feel so sorry for you." That's sympathy. Empathy is not me just feeling sorry for you, or maybe not me even feeling sorry, getting in that place where I have that sorrow, but getting in that place where I put my feet in your shoes and look to understand what you're experiencing from your perspective.
Okay.
So that old white therapist, if he knows how to apply empathy, which he should because it's huge in this field, he can maybe get in your shoes and see where you're coming from. But for some people, they feel comfortable knowing that, man, you just ain't practicing empathy. You've been pulled over at DWB, driving while black. You go in the store. I joke all the time, and it's not funny though, but I joke about it because it keeps me from really getting upset. When I go in Walmart or Target or anywhere, I get the best customer service because everywhere I go, can I help you, sir? Need any help? Need any help, my friend? You know what I mean? And that starts to wear on you where you're like, I'm going to come in the store and somebody's going to follow me around. And you almost become numb to it, or it becomes normalized.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be normal. It's not normal. It's not. But it becomes your normal because you experience it over and over again. And it just irritates you. And then it's hard for me to even have to sit there and say, are you asking me for help because you genuinely have great customer service? Or you ask me if I need help because you think I'm going to help myself to a 5-figure discount? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know from right there.
Yeah. Now imagine dealing with that over and over again and what that can do to your mental health. The anxiety that can create. You know what I mean?
I didn't think about it like that.
There's this thing called hypervigilance, which is basically you stay on high alert at all times.
I always felt like, I got one of those people where, you at a function, he's always got his back up against the wall, thinking of like an exit strategy if anything goes wrong.
Because he's checking everything out and never really gets to relax. And you're looking to stay safe, that can create those types of things, which can affect you, which can affect your mental health and then lead you to a place where you're dealing with a mental health disorder. Like you could be dealing with anxiety. You could be dealing with depression. And even attacking some of the stigmas of us, making jokes about stuff and calling people stuff and not really understanding that these things are real things. Like, for instance, bipolar. How many times you been around folk and they say, oh, yo, he bipolar. Yo, she bipolar.
Guilty.
And it's like, if you understood what bipolar disorder really consists of, you wouldn't say that person is bipolar, because what you're talking about, if anything, is just mood swings. You were smiling one minute, then the next second you cussing me out. You bipolar. That's not what bipolar disorder is. Bipolar is when your mood swings on a pendulum. What I mean by that is
just going.
You have hypermania at the top, where you're just up, energy levels up, and you are just you're not really sleeping. You're excited for no reason. You could be hypersexual. You could engage in a bunch of risky behavior because just chemically what's going on with you has you just up. And you're just everywhere. And it's at an elevated state. And you stay, the thing that makes it bipolar disorder is you stay in that space for days or weeks or months. Not just
going back
constant up and down.
So, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then at the bottom of that pendulum is depression or depressive disorder. So And it's important for us to understand too, depression doesn't have a look.
No. I've figured that out throughout the years, where it's like, you see the happiest, smiling guy. Like, I don't know who said it, but it was something that it was on my feed the other day, and it was like, you ever realize that the comedians that you mostly know are one of the saddest people to roam the earth? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, dang, that actually like makes sense. And then like literally when I started just putting things together, I was like, yeah, all these happy people, so they don't drag the next person down with them to their depressive state so much to speak of, and that the only way that they can get some sort of escape is like telling that joke, even if like the joke's on them, is that somewhat of like a relief that like I can kind of laugh at this too.
And it can be therapeutic, not therapy, but it can be therapeutic. Like you look at somebody like Kevin Hart, who I love. Remember his one special he did, Laugh at My Pain?
Yep.
Think about that title, Laugh at My Pain. He was telling us these painful experiences I had, I'm dealing with them and processing them in such a way and presenting them to you that you're laughing. And the laughter from that has helped me get through those things. It's helped me process those things. Yeah, most of our great comedians have come from that place. Richard Pryor.
Oh, that's my.
Yeah,
That's my dude, man. That's my dude.
Depressed,
Real. Yeah. Real depressed.
Yeah. Really dealing with major depressive disorder. But had everybody laughing.
Everyone rolling on him.
Had everybody laughing. But when he talks about some of the aspects of his life, like some of the things he had to engage in to even get access to certain doors, you can see why
he was
struggling the way he was. And especially now, we're about at that place where everybody's taking their mask off.
Yeah.
They mask are off in schools now and everything. So, everybody's ripping them off. We've come through over 2 years of dealing with a pandemic. That's had an effect on our mental health.
Oh, yeah.
Whether we recognize it or not. So
right,
we have to have these discussions.
I got you.
In any space that we can have them in. And you guys, I think, are going to be the generation that really embraces therapy, talking about your feelings, being in touch with your emotions.
I feel like a lot of us are definitely in touch.
Yeah.
Definitely in touch.
You've never had a generation that talks about, let's go to therapy. Man, I'm going to therapy. And we'll say it like out.
Like straight out.
Yeah, we'll straight up say, yep, I go to therapy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do this. Yep. Rappers say it. Actors. Athletes.
And some of the ones you just be surprised. You'd be like, I didn't even know that he was going through. And it's just, like you said, we had the mask on for so long that, eventually you just got to take it off.
Yeah, because how would you know? I mean, we have signs that we look for. Like, you have to be dealing with 5 or more of these like symptoms for 2 weeks or longer, like the irritability, the difficulty concentrating, which those things can show up in anxiety disorder as well. Sometimes they overlap. And you often see people end up dealing with both, like anxiety disorder and depressive disorder. Losing your appetite, difficulty sleeping or sleeping too much. Like I said, losing the ability to enjoy things, isolating yourself.
Oh, that's a big one.
Withdrawing from certain things. And depression can often, unfortunately, lead to suicidal thoughts, and unfortunately, people dying by suicide, which has to be talked about as well.
Has to be. I think it's one of those things where, like, I haven't experienced any of it, but I always wondered, like, where was that one person? Like, how can you tell that someone is getting to that stage?
Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can't. Like, if you see somebody who is, maybe they start giving their stuff away. Maybe they just start quitting on things. You know what I mean? Maybe they're really, really isolating, like you never see them. And they start saying things like, I'm just a burden to everybody. And people would be better off if they didn't have to deal with me. You know what I mean? I'm just a weight. They start saying things like that. Those can be telltale signs that a person's dealing with suicidal ideation. But in some cases, like unfortunately, what happened in New York last month with the young lady.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, there's nobody that you talk to that was associated with her that had a clue.
That had no clue.
Yeah.
And like she was always happy. She was smiling. And I'm pretty sure she just came off of winning
she had won.
She won
Miss USA.
Miss USA.
And she was on a TV show.
Yeah.
She was on a TV show and she had all these opportunities and everybody talked about how wonderful a person she was, which she obviously was. Yet she was suffering in silence. You know what I mean? And to even hear like family members say, we didn't know. Because who knows a man or woman's experience more than they do to a certain degree. If you learn how to function, you know what I mean? Like I said, think about it. We celebrate being strong at any cost. How many of us grew up not being able to cry? Tear come out your eye, you get slapped.
I'll give you something to cry about.
Exactly. Punch in your mouth. Don't be no punk.
Mm-hmm.
You get shaped by all these things. If you grow up in a certain environment, you know what I mean? You have to toughen yourself up.
I was about to ask you, you toughen yourself up through your environment, and that can also be one of, I would say, one of your downfalls is of like, since you gotta grow up tough, I can't let people in, and I feel like that's always really not the case, because even when you grow up tough like that, you always find like that one person that like you do let in and that you do find. So it's such a weird, like not a weird topic, but like it's just so hard to actually determine what someone's really going through without them actually saying anything.
Yeah. And that's why you attack the stigma. Because the more we attack the stigma, the more we have these conversations, the more people that look like me and you show up on screens talking about it's okay to tell people you're not okay. It's okay to go talk to somebody. You're not alone. No, you don't have to fake like you're happy all the time.
Nope. That's a big
because nobody's happy all the time.
No. I always thought it was like,
nobody's happy.
That's weird.
Yeah, if you're happy all the time, something's off.
Something's not right. Something's not clicking. I said that the other day because I was walking by and I was like, I don't think I ever seen that dude not smile. I was like, he can't be all sunshine and rainbow.
Yeah. Well, and he might not show it to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Or he might show it to somebody and not show it to me. Yet, for anybody that thinks you just have to be happy all the time, or you might be in a space where you have to pretend to be happy all the time because that helps you survive that space. But then, if you think about sadness, which is an emotion, oftentimes sadness tells you something was important to you. Because I don't get sad over any old thing. Yeah. If I get sad over something,
it's something
it typically points to this mattered to me. So if I'm happy all the time, I might miss out on what matters or even being aware of what matters. But if you're told you just need to be happy all the time and you just need to smile, or you've learned that, and you can learn these things a lot of times through what you experience growing up, that you have to take care of yourself. So nobody's going to see you frown, because first of all, you think they don't care anyway. Secondly, they're not going to do anything about it and have to rely on me. But if you don't let it out somewhere, then you're internalizing it.
Oh, you're just,
at
that point, it's just...
you're holding it in. Oftentimes I tell them.
That's that, just holding it in thing. It's always just a little cringy to me.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people do it, though. I often tell people suppression leads to depression.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you hit me with a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Suppression leads to depression. So what you're holding in, think about it. You're holding it in and it's weighing you down. And all of us have a certain capacity of what we can take.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So even the strongest person at some point
he's gonna.
Yeah, they can't hold anymore. You can't deal anymore. You become overwhelmed. And what does that look like?
That causes like a panic.
Or it can come out violent. Like a lot of times we talk about young males being so violent. A lot of times that is them not being able to hold anymore. You know what I mean?
Straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. Or their pain. I often say when I see people shooting and fighting, that's their cry. Maybe their cry got taken from them when they were younger. Weren't allowed to cry. You know what I mean? Weren't allowed to tell anybody how they felt. Or, like I said, may have been in an environment where
you can't do that.
That wasn't modeled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that could be for various reasons. When you hear people's stories, you're like, wow. No wonder you're where you are.
I was intrigued by like someone's background or being like, that's why I always, try to have people come on to be like, where you're from, what happened, that, doesn't define you who you are today. Yes, it helped somewhat along the way because you definitely always see, you live and you learn. Mm-hmm. But like that, coming from there, you can hold a whole lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, like you go up to be a great person, it's like that doesn't really. The stuff that happened back there, it just helps you build and grow. How do you see that the young men can do that, or just anybody in general?
Well, first they have to acknowledge what they're dealing with. You know what I mean? And also, like I have people say, "Oh man, you're doing this and you got this going on," but I'm like, man, you don't see what they say in church all the time. You don't know the story behind the glory. You don't know the story behind the glory. So. And you don't even always know what that person's dealing with right now, especially in a social media age where I'm always going to put forth my best look. My picture you see on my page that you don't know. I took 80 different shots of it and finally saw one that was acceptable to put on there. And you're like, man, they always get their shots right. Yeah, they take about 150 of them.
We had a whole photo shoot over here.
Yeah, and you can get on there. You can get on there and you can present a life that you may not be living.
Yeah, I've seen that firsthand too.
And having somebody feed you those compliments.
You're like you looking good.
Oh yeah,
how you doing? That
feels good. So if I'm getting that there, I'm going to continue to do it. So for a young man, first of all, you have to know that where you are today doesn't have to be where you're going to be tomorrow. But the question is, what are you going to attach yourself to make sure that you're not in that same space? Because if you think about it, I always look at the way a man thinks. Because the way he thinks decides how he feels. And how he feels decides how he behaves. Determines his actions, his choices. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So if you feel a certain way, we can address what you think. And what created that thinking? What do these things mean to you? Because that's what creates that feeling. That creates that behavior. For instance, somebody can look at me, right? Stare at me. And I'm like, oh man, I got something on my shirt. When I was eating that pizza, did I drop some sauce on there? They might look at you and you think they want smoke. And it creates this feeling of what we typically say, feeling of you testing me and checking me. Is normally a feeling of unsafety, not feeling safe. But we present it as, well, you're trying to come at me a certain way. Well, if I think you're trying to come at me a certain way, the reason why I approach you in a hostile manner is because the reality is I don't feel safe right now. Right. But it's presented as I lean on folk. Ain't nobody gonna come at me.
Ain't no one gonna check me.
Ain't nobody gonna test me like that. And then you find, because you feel that way, you present behaviors and actions that line up with that feeling. The only way you're going to change that is what that means to you. The definition has to change. Because if the definition don't change, then the feeling's not going to change.
It's just a repeating cycle if it don't change up.
Yeah. Now to go even deeper, what happened to you? Or what did you get exposed to? Or what's going on inside you that puts you in that space in the first place? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because that's the beauty of therapy. We find out oftentimes. Like you have people that do coaching. You have people that do therapy. You have some people that do both. When somebody's coaching you, you normally don't talk about their past. You talk about what's going on presently in relation to the goals you have.
Okay.
And then you set everything up to meet those goals. But when you're doing therapy, you're talking about what created what shows up. Like if you're struggling with this depressive disorder, how do we help you manage symptoms and cope? But also, how do we help you in discovering the underlying things that are going on that drives that? Some people deal with depressive episodes from medical conditions. You know what I mean?
I thought about that a little bit, but I didn't really get in too deep. I like the coaching and then the therapy on that because I didn't know that part either.
Yeah, therapy often involves digging into your past, what you experienced. For instance, if somebody has a trauma-informed approach, they're always looking at what happened to you and not necessarily just focusing on what you're doing or what's showing up. No, what happened to you?
What happened can make you who you...
Yeah, what happened drives what's going on with you now. You know, when you're looking at trauma, because even when you look at trauma is not the thing that happened to you. Trauma is the disruption that showed up mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally, that showed up, that disrupted your life.
Okay.
You and I can have the same experience and it comes off as traumatic to me and doesn't come off as traumatic to you. It doesn't cause you this disruption, but it can be the same exact experience.
Okay, so everyone does experience things that are, that are the same but quite different too.
Yeah, because it can be a lot of times based on your lens, based on your makeup. There's still learning so much about the way our brains even work.
Yeah, we know very little. Unlock that.
So, for instance, because trauma's a buzzword. That's all you hear. If you go on Instagram right now and you put up trauma, let me tell you how many posts are going to pop up.
Man, you're going to have... You be scrolling all night.
You're going to be scrolling all night.
Scrolling all night.
And you're going to be on those things and you'll be trying to diagnose yourself and see if it's this and this. Because a lot of people think Instagram is therapy.
Oh no,
it's not therapy.
No.
I mean, you can learn things.
Yeah, for sure.
It can be, even some of those things can be therapeutic, but a post can never take into account everything that's wrapped into who you are in your life and a personal experience of sitting across from somebody and unveiling me.
Really knowing you or really showing yourself.
Yeah. And I'm saying that as somebody that posts stuff. You know what I mean? I got an Instagram page. I got a Facebook page. You know what I mean? So I'm not anti.
You're not anti-posting.
I'm not anti, but what I'm saying is it's not therapy.
It's definitely not. I definitely
There's a lot of good things there.
Some people who will scroll, and all of a sudden they feel a little better.
And I follow a lot of clinicians on there who drop great stuff every day, drop great content, but it's still not therapy because I'm still not getting something tailored to me. Like, for instance, when somebody sits with me and we do a treatment plan, that's tailored to them. What they need.
Focused on what I was gonna say. Focused on what they need.
What they need, what their experiences are, what they have going on. What factors into their overall health. You can't get that from an Instagram post.
Oh, for sure.
But you can get something. You can get
something. Yeah, you can get something. You get a little snippet of that in there, but you're not, like you said, you're not getting the whole effect.
Yeah.
Of what you really need because it's not tailored specifically for you.
Right.
It's just to grasp an audience, and you get kind of like swept up in there.
Now it can be tailored for you because it's the reason why you'll look. You know what I mean?
Be a reason why
it'd be the reason why you look, and it very well could be. The beauty of it is it could get you to go see a therapist. It could get you to go talk to somebody. So I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying it's not therapy. Like,
it's not.
I know. I lift weights, so a lot of guys in the gym say, the gym is my therapy. And I'm like, nah, no, it's therapeutic, meaning it can have this effect on what you're feeling and experiencing. Because when you exercise, dopamine gets released. It's a feel-good hormone in your brain. So when that gets released, yeah, your mood elevates. You feel good.
You feel good.
Yeah.
You feel good. Look
but
good.
Look, I can go bench 375. That still will not help me deal with going through most of my senior year in high school with depression and nobody said anything because nobody really understood that's what I was dealing with. You know what I mean? That won't fix that.
No.
It can help me feel better
about
for the moment.
But it's only,
you know what I mean?
Like you said, it's only for the moment.
Yeah, it does not address what's going on with me that has me in that state. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things we do that are therapeutic.
But it's not actual.
They're not therapy. They may be things you use that get incorporated in your treatment.
So do you think a lot of people do a lot of therapeutic things thinking that it is therapy and then just not just going to go see a person to actually talk about it?
Yeah, because, it helps. It helps relieve symptoms. But and here's the thing about therapy, too. I never want to say therapy is the end-all, be-all. Because you know what I mean? I don't want to say it's the end-all, be-all and forget anything else. It can very well be a part of, the things that help you. Or even like a part of your team. Like I have my therapist. I have my therapist, have my coach, have my mentors, have my friends that I talk to, have my family, But it's like I said, it's not the cure-all, be-all, but it is something that can be for everybody.
I like that. It definitely can be something for everyone. I think, especially how you say, you come in, you're unjudgmental, you're not biased, you create this safe space, and it's just like, because I think the first time I met you was at the, where were we? Were you at the police station?
Yeah, the Democratic.
We was at the Democratic.
Yeah, the Democratic club.
And I got even, it was a safe space in general because anywhere I'm with my family or anything, I always feel like a safe space. But the fact that it was like, once you got done talking and it was like me and you was chopping it up and it was like at the clock and I was like, man, bro, we've been talking for like an hour and some change. It just made me feel comfortable, with telling you. And at that point, man, we were complete strangers to each.
Yeah.
We were complete strangers to each other, and I always look back on that day, and that's why I always try to recommend you if anyone comes and be like, so this dude is. First day I met him, I talked to him for an hour and some change, and I was like, after leaving that conversation, I was like, man, I was telling him stuff that I ain't even tell my mama, like, and that's what I really loved about, just your personality and your character, like. Really made me feel like, like everything else wasn't even going on. Like people were just walking, moving. Felt like we was literally in like a room like this, and we were just talking and letting it out.
And that is the epitome of a safe space. You know what I mean? And it wasn't a fully safe space because, there were still people walking.
Yeah, there were still people.
You know what I mean? They weren't like all in the conversation, like, what y'all talking about? But there were still people walking by. Now, imagine sitting in a space with a clinician and that space is provided. Because the biggest factor in any type of therapy being successful is the relationship between the therapist and the client. Think about it. If you don't trust that person you're working with, you're not telling them anything.
Oh, I wouldn't tell them nothing if I don't trust them.
And I've had countless people dragged to me, especially by parents. You going to therapy. And it's like, they're like, I ain't talking about nothing. Nope, they forced me to come here. Eventually they talk though. For the most part, I won't say every.
I've
had some that like, oh no.
We just sit here.
Yeah, and then they're like, I ain't coming no more. So, but for the most part, once they get to sit in that space, and they're like, they start checking it out, they open up. But trust is developed.
I like that though, because you reaching some real, like, you gotta have like that trust.
You do.
But like the fact that for me, because I'm so, there's like a couple people in my hand I talk to like every day. But the fact that, I just listen to this man speak. I go up, do the little, it's not sympathy, but you know how you do everything. You just do a little dab over there. Hey man, it's nice to meet you and everything. And then, usually after that, people, head along their way. But the fact that it was more like, that environment and that being like safe, like you said, people were still walking around. But the fact that you created that and it was just like instant.
Yeah.
It was just like, whoa, man, like this man's on to something.
Yeah. And it's authentic.
Real authentic.
It's authentic. And like I said, your generation, I'm telling you.
Want real.
Yeah, y'all want real. Y'all say it all the time. If it ain't real, it ain't right. I ain't dealing with it.
That's why
say it all the time.
Look, man, that's why we got this show. It's real. There's no cue cards. There's no person behind or in front of me saying we got to reach this topic. Let's reach that topic. It's like, no, man. I want someone to come on here and be real with me the same way as if you're walking by and I'm sitting at the front desk and we end up chopping it up. This is exactly why I created this show, was just to show like the realness of people's different perspectives of thinking, people's ways of life. Your background could be completely different from my background, but it's like, look where we at now. Yeah. And that's something why I was like, I gotta have him on. It's like, this is gonna be one of the realest ones I have on.
Yeah. But you know why? Because this is where my heart is. You know what I mean? I got a heart for people. That's just bottom line. I got a heart for people. I got a heart for seeing people heal. I got a heart for seeing people grow. I got a heart for, especially, like I said, especially men having a space where, man, they can be real. Mm-hmm. I can take my mask off.
Take your mask right off.
Because I tell people all the time, man, I wasn't affected by wearing no mask for COVID. I've been wearing masks for years. You know what I mean?
You saying that.
I've been wearing masks for years. I don't care about no masks.
As soon as you said that somewhere, I was like, man, you realize how many Academy Award winners that we actually have in this world?
Actors.
Legit actors where you actresses. Happy and smiling. As soon as they shut the door when they go home, you just never know.
Yeah, and get so lost, you don't even really know who you are anymore. Or may have never known who you are.
I think that's where people get lost at too, is when they finally take that mask off. They're just like, I don't know where to go from here. Mm-hmm. And I think with I don't know where to go from here goes to unknown, and unknown goes into scary.
Yeah. And look, I never sugarcoat anybody on the process. I tell people when they come in and do therapy, man, it's scary. And change is hard. And very hard. There's a possibility. Say I've been struggling with something for 10 years. It might take me 10 years
just to get over
to shift that. Wow. Might take me 10 years of work to shift that. People don't like to hear that, especially, in today's generation.
They want it fast now.
Everything's quick.
They want it done.
Everything quick.
Like, I want progress in the next week.
Because you get progress in the next 5 minutes and a lot of stuff. Often used. Look, we're online right now, right? I remember when America Online came out. And you had to run it through your phone. And that thing be like, and then sit there and try to connect, right? And let's say you trying to get on ESPN.com. You waiting for the page to load. It might take 10 minutes for that page to load. And then somebody called the house phone. They killed the connection. Your page halfway. You're like, no. So you had to wait all this time.
You had to wait all the time.
Think about it now. We carry computers in our hand.
Oh,
you click, boom.
It's right there.
It's instant. So because everything's so instant, microwavable, fast food. I don't have to shop anymore. They bring my groceries to
your
me.
door.
Yeah. I ain't got to go to McDonald's. DoorDash it to me. I don't have to go shop. Amazon will drop the stuff off at my house. Everything is so instant. When you're talking about something that involves a process, sometimes you be like, ugh, what?
Like, it takes
Do what?
For real?
This takes time. Nah, give me something to immediately make whatever's going on with me go away. And then you're like, well, it don't work like that.
You know, I can imagine someone like the faces or just like some of the things that are said when you're like, nah, man, this takes some time. And
it takes time. People are like, time.
I never thought about having anything like technology wise so instant that now, even when it comes into like getting yourself right in therapy, and that people want stuff instantly. For some reason, I just didn't put the two together because I thought that's just me thinking like off top of the rip, where it's like if you come in here and you know you're here for therapy to get yourself better, that obviously it takes time. But I did not think that people would be like, I need results by such and such.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you give someone results?
You be honest with them. Look, I tell people all the time, look, people are like, oh man, you're awesome. I'm like, look, you're awesome because what we work on, you got to go work on it outside of this setting.
Absolutely.
You sit with me for 45 minutes to an hour, once or twice a week. Well, once a week or maybe every 2 weeks. And there's 168 hours in a week. Yeah, you have to navigate all those other hours. So you're the one that's doing the work. So you should be the one that gets 95% of the credit.
You want to give yourself
because, 5? I give myself 5.
Give yourself
I give myself 5. But because think about it. Like for instance, I give homework to clients all the time.
That's
all the time.
But people still need that homework.
Yeah, because it allows you to take what we work on and apply it to what's going on. It allows you to think outside of that setting when you're sitting there and we're doing the work. You know, it allows you to invest because I'm big on investment. Because that's what therapy really is. It's investing in you. Just like self-care is investing in you. You know what I mean?
I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, we could spend an hour talking about self-care because most people don't do it.
No.
And that's why most of them that's why a lot of us are on the verge of burnout. And we struggle with so many things because we're always trying to develop something, build something, be successful at something. You know what I mean? And what price are we paying?
I'm paying with you. I think sometimes in that sort of like lifestyle, you kind of pay with your own life because you never give yourself that break like that. Yeah. Like I always say sometimes where, you know, like when I was working with coworkers and I see the same one 2 weeks, and you just see the body language, and I'm just like, one day I think I told him, I was like, well, you might just want to just call out just one day, you know, make sure like you good, like mental health, like make sure like you just take a day and just process everything that happened. Because when I tell you, when I was working at that company, it was just like, you know, we would have, you know, a long, lengthy, you know, like 2 weeks where it's like, man, this week was pretty shitty. Like it was bad. Like, dude, and we got to come back in, you know, 2 days, you know, the weekend ain't really all that much.
No.
It's only 2 days, but then within the 2 days of like, you know, Friday, well, I don't really count Friday because sometimes you still got to work Friday. Friday. So it's like you get Saturday and Sunday, and it's like, that's still really not enough because sometimes on Saturday you do your little family activities, you know, Sunday, you know, watch football with the family, but you never get that like day, like by yourself. Mm-hmm. I always tried to, growing up when I was like kind of like a loner, but I was like, I told my mom, she was like, why you always by yourself? I was like, cause one day you're going to have to be okay with being by yourself with your own thoughts, your own emotions, and your own feelings. So I thought as a younger age, you know, sometimes if I just, maybe I not see my friends for like a week. That's just me. It might be weird, but I was like, maybe I might not see people for this week, but just actually just, I wasn't sad, depressed, mad, or anything, but like I just needed to, like that 1 week to just be in tune with like my own thoughts and my own emotions.
That's insightful. Because you know what I'll say this, even as at the age I'm at now, sometimes I have to work on being by myself. You know what I mean? Being by myself and really being quiet. I used to hate the quiet.
Oh man,
there were man. I used to never be in quiet. If I was by myself, I had the TV or music on. Cause I was like,
really,
I ain't never gonna have no quiet,
man.
Because anytime quiet showed up, everything else showed up. All them thoughts,
all your thoughts,
and
your emotions.
Rushing. I was like, oh no.
I tried to navigate through it at a younger age because I was just, I don't know where I was. Like I said, I wasn't mad or sad, but I was just like, yeah, if I'm okay by myself and I truly, generally love myself the way I look, the way I feel, my emotions, I felt like I could just take on anything at that point. Because I'm like, all right, well, you'd be like, oh, that's why you're by yourself. Oh, I can prefer to be by myself. I have no problems with doing that. But I also think that it made me become more of like a better friend because I know how easily, it can be to switch off to be like, oh, now I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Well, now I ain't got no one to talk to. I ain't got no one to hit up, bro. I've already done that. So I'm not afraid. And my mom, she'll tell you, don't be Saquon laughs at his own jokes. Yeah, I think I'm hilarious. I think I'm one of the top 5 like the top 5 comedians that have never been seen on straight live. I always, she called me the other day. I was just laughing. She was like, "You laughing at yourself?" And I said, "Damn right. I'm one of the funniest people I know."
You know what though? I mean, now human beings are wired for connection. Mm-hmm. We really are. We are wired to be social creatures. Not that you don't have to be the life of the party, right. But we are wired and designed to be connected to somebody. So, for instance, if you look at the pandemic, that was one of the hardest things about being locked down and dealing with the pandemic. And look at some of the things that came. Look at all these people that got divorced.
You know what I mean? I was actually surprised by that.
Look at all these people that got divorced. You were concerned about children who the only time they had peace was going into the school building. Some of them, the only time they ate was going into the school. Sometimes the only time they didn't get abused was when they went to the school building. And now they were stuck. You know what I mean? And you think about, like when we're talking about the divorces, think about it. What if you were married to somebody and you kept yourself busy, therefore you never had to look at what wasn't working in your relationship? And now you got stripped of that, and now you have to sit with them. Like my wife and I talked about the pandemic really showed us, I like her. Yeah, I like him. We were, as terrible as it was, because you had people losing their lives, we got time we never would have got. I would say this. I've been married 17 years. I never spent that much time with my wife, ever. Ever. Because
you just think about it, like,
look, I had no gym to go to.
Nope, all closed down.
Work was virtual.
Yep, do it from home.
Stores weren't open. Where they had food, they were either delivering it or you went in there and they slid it through the
little glass.
There you go. You know what I mean?
Go ahead and take it. Don't be breathing on my glass.
Yeah, you literally, it was you and whoever was there with you.
In your house.
Now think about people that were by themselves. Because it's one thing for me to be an introvert. Like if you don't deal with people, I'm not an introvert, obviously. But if somebody is an introvert, where they really don't really worry about connecting with people like that, they're okay being by themselves. Sometimes you don't even know they're in the room. That's one thing. It's another thing, though, to be an introvert without options.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you could be introverted, but say, hey, I want to go talk to somebody. Hey, I want to go hang with somebody. Hey, I'm going to go over here because I'm just feeling that. During the pandemic, during the lockdown, you didn't have that option. The only people you felt 100%
was the people in the house,
and that's if they weren't leaving the house for work. You felt pretty much 99 to 100% chance that I'm safe from catching COVID was the people that were in the house with you. So that takes a toll. Now that we're coming out of that,
I think
now
some people don't know how to adjust.
We're seeing some of these effects. Like I said, you saw couples that looked and said, I don't like you.
Yeah, that was one of the most shocking things that I thought. I was like, damn, I thought that, with being, locked down and having a man, you'd be closer to your spouse, but it really, I guess some people got it and some people don't.
It depends. I said COVID exposed you to you, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot.
It exposed you to you. Because like I said, you didn't have all these escapes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You're straight in the house, and you gotta find something content in the house if you can.
Yeah.
If not, you gotta go and be like, well, let me go walk around the house and talk to these people that live in here.
Man, I was jogging around my neighborhood. My family and I was taking walks every day. We were taking like 2 walks a day.
And that's the there's always a positive and a negative or something. And that was like the positive, because one thing I can say is during that time, our family did get a lot closer because we're all in the same house, all cooped up. So it's like, well, what movie we watching today as a family, and then you just get that camaraderie in, and it's just like, dang, all right, I can really deal with these people. That was just me, folks. I hope they ain't listening.
Because everybody's experience is different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sees the world through their lens. You know what I mean? It's been affected by their experiences. It's been affected by their environments. It's been affected by their biology. It's been affected by what they've been taught, what things mean. So when they look through that lens, it's different for everybody.
Yeah,
you and I can look at the same situation, same thing, same subject. 2 different meanings. We deal with it 2 different ways.
2 different ways.
Because it's coming through your lens. Therapy is a beautiful place to uncover your lens. Because you just don't go to therapy just because everybody that comes to therapy doesn't have a mental health disorder or mental illness. Some people go there for what we call adjustment. And they're still called adjustment disorders if you're going to put a diagnosis on it. But an adjustment disorder can be just me getting used to moving to a new town, not having, having to build new relationships, being away. An adjustment disorder can be when parents have their kids go to college, the empty nest syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
What I want life to look like now, because I've been a parent all these years, hands-on parent, had to do all these things. Kids are gone now. What does life look like? I have to adjust. You know what I mean? So some people go to therapy for that. Some people go to therapy because they don't have anybody to talk to. They don't have those spaces. You know what I mean? Some people go to therapy so they can see things from a different perspective.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like I said, to get a voice from somebody that, like I said, they don't have this personal investment. Like, if you go this way, this benefits me this way. If you go that way, it benefits me that way. For me, what benefits me is that you go in a way that's healthy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's the thing. It's not like you go in a way and I get money and I get $5 million from you for going this way. No, it's you doing things that are healthy for you. You know what I mean? And living that authentic life.
That real life.
That real authentic life.
Real.
So while we take these masks off for COVID, it's time for us to continue to take these other masks off.
I 100% agree with you. It's time.
Yeah. So we can have healthy relationships.
Actually be truthful to one another. And, all that. So one thing I definitely did know, I was like, people couldn't tell if I was laughing, crying, happy, sad, or mad with that mask on. Mm-hmm. Couldn't tell. Can't see my facial expressions. So the fact that I think that we're, stuff is starting to get lifted, I think more people can, try to either find themselves with this long pandemic or, just get that sign of relief where it's just like, finally I can, because that's during this whole COVID thing was like, I found out what I really wanted to do in life. Mm-hmm. I found out what my passions was, what my hobby was. It grew, more friendships, more meaningful friendships. Because like you said, people were going out left and right. People were passing from it.
Horrific.
It was one of the things I've never experienced in my life.
Yeah.
Where it was like, all right, when this first happened, it was like I had like 3 or 4 people whose like grandparents was just like, I was like, what are you talking about? I just seen you post, like y'all just took a picture like 2 weeks ago, and now you're telling me 2 weeks she's not here. So I think with everything getting lifted and everything starting, I don't think anything will ever go back to normal. That's just me.
Well, things don't. Anytime something happens, you really don't go.
You don't go back. You kind of go. You go forward into just.
Because think about it. Yeah. So think about it. Let's say, like if you have infidelity in a relationship, and it gets discovered, you don't really go back to the space you were prior to the infidelity. Hopefully, if the relationship continues and grows, hopefully it can become an even stronger relationship. But you don't go back to where it was before then, because you now have had this situation, this event, this thing that has happened. You know what I mean? So it still has an effect on how that relationship goes. Doesn't mean that relationship can't get back to the same level of satisfaction or even a greater level of satisfaction, because you may discover some things that created the environment for that to happen. Like when you talk to people about affairs, it's really not about the affair. The affair is like that end of it. It's about what happened that got you in the spot where you can find yourself there. You know what I mean? That's where the real issues lie. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, our world will never go back to where it was pre-pandemic. Oh, no. The question now becomes, though, where do we go from here? You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't go through all that and just say, oh, we're just going to go back. And then think about all the other stresses we got going on now. Yeah, what's going on in Ukraine. You have inflation.
Cost of living.
Yeah. You have so many things going on. So it's
so many active things is just going.
Yeah. So taking stock of your mental and emotional health. It's always been vital. But we got to push even more that people,
I think we got to push.
Yeah, that people are more aware of. Like I said, you got guys and you have females that are like on the edge. And you'll see people that do certain things and people are like, that never happens here. And they were such a nice person and all this stuff. Because you didn't know where they were. Sometimes they don't even know.
They don't know.
They're not even aware.
I think it's that unknown in the air when it's in them like that. And because it's funny, because that's like one of the first things that people always do. It's like, it don't happen around here. I'm really shocked when it's like, well, you don't know what happens. Well, how well did you know the person?
Right. Well, you know them to the degree they show you.
Mm-hmm. Did you actually take like a sit down with them to actually talk, or But
you know them to the degree they show you. I can live with a person, and I know them to the degree they show me.
I heard a lot of that.
Yeah, I know you to the degree you show me. And what if you don't even understand yourself? And what if you've been wearing a mask and your mask is you think that's your authentic self?
That's a
You know what I mean? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Yeah, I'm going to show you that. And I might think that's me. So you relating to me maybe based on this mask I have that I might not even realize is a mask. You know what I mean? So it's like that's why you push for people to learn self-awareness or to grow in it and to not be afraid or ashamed to say, I'm not okay. That it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help.
Push.
You
need to push.
Strong men struggle too. And
preach.
Because
that's literally what we really need to just really just targets just, you can be as strong as you want. But no strong man ever did it alone.
No.
It's just, I don't want to say it's impossible because I don't want to count out but it's highly unlikely that someone, because you got to have something.
Somebody helped you.
Someone
helped you along the way.
Someone.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. Somebody opened the door for you. Somebody was there when you didn't have anything. Somebody encouraged you when you were ready to quit. There's really no such thing as a self-made man. Somebody helped create this man that you say you are. So, and even this man you're becoming and growing into, because it is a journey. You know what I mean? It's a journey.
I'm still, I figured out somewhat, but I know there's still ways for me to go.
Yeah,
and
you want to help people enjoy the journey as much as possible.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, as much as possible. That you enjoy this thing called life, and that
too short.
Yeah, and this person you really treat and fall in love with is you at first.
I always say I love myself down to the T.
Yeah,
my man.
You know what I mean. So it becomes this thing. It becomes this thing of, a lot of times I see therapy as self-love. That's a boss move on loving yourself when you go to therapy.
That's
a boss move.
That's a boss move.
That's a boss move. You loving yourself.
I like that.
That's a part of loving yourself.
It is. I like that.
It's not the only way you can show love to yourself, but
it's a good way to show love to yourself.
Yeah, it's a good way to show love to yourself. I value me enough to invest in exploring me and growing me and me healing. Because a more healed you, a more comprehensive you, affects your relationships with others. A healthier you has a healthier relationship with your wife, your girlfriend, your family members, your mom, your dad, your siblings, your co-workers.
Think about it like that, man.
A healthier you creates healthier relationships. Sometimes these relationship issues we have stem from something going on with me. But if I blame the person I'm in relationship with all the time, and that started with Adam. This wife you gave me. This woman you gave me. Everything was straight till she showed up. So,
I was saying that.
Yeah. Nah, brother, own it. Own it, bro. That was on you. Own it. Yeah, own it.
Adam, come on, Adam.
So it's like it's like when you work on you, a healthier you causes everything connected to you to get healthier. So the inverse of that is a hurting you, a deteriorating you, a continually being damaged you damages everything connected to you.
All right. Look, man, opening up my eyes, man. Opening up my eyes, man.
So like I said, the beauty of that space, like I said, to unpack that stuff, work through it, see it from a different perspective, a non-judgmental place, and also not a place where you go get advice, but a place where I really help people see the thing for themselves. I don't tell them, because think about it. When I'll say this, like with my kids, if I say we're going to the store and my kids will ask, on whose dime? Yours or mine? Because if it's on mine, then they'll go grab anything. Yeah. But when it's their money, they sit there like, man, I don't know if I really want that. I don't know if that's worth that. You know what I mean?
Speaking as a child going to the store with his parents.
I don't know about all that, man.
I really wanted this candy, so I figured I got to pay for it by myself.
Yeah, because it's about them. It's about what they're investing in. They look at it a totally different way. So instead of me telling them that ain't worth it, if I put them in a spot where they got to spend their own money, they really get it.
You'll figure it out.
So if you go to therapy and you come to therapy and I just tell you what to do,
you're not going to really get it.
It's not yours.
No, it's just
I just drop some advice on it. No, it's about creating that environment where you start to see these things. You unpack these things. You lay these things out. And then you can lay out what you think is ugly. Because in this space, we ain't going to sit there, oh, that's ugly, and oh, this is bad. Now, let's examine it. Because think about it. When you think something's ugly, what do?
I don't want no parts of it.
You don't want no parts of it. You get away from it. But that thing exists and it's going on, and you're trying to avoid it.
So you give them that instead of trying to avoid. Why don't we investigate this a little bit? Let's examine, like you said. Let's examine
this thing. And I'm not gonna call you dumb. I don't think you dumb. I think you're a human being having a human experience.
He's always,
you know what I mean? You're a human being having a human experience. So it's not oh man, you this and that. That's why I don't call people crazy, because I don't really believe in crazy people.
Change my mind on that.
Yeah, I'm like, what's up? Well, it may or may not change your mind. But it's just like,
still, everyone got a little something in them that seems off to someone else, but is commonly normal to them.
Something might be going on. For instance, and that's why I said it can come from so many different ways. Like, let's say somebody has let's say you have a neurological dysfunction, like you have damage to your brain and the way it functions. You may behave or show up in certain ways that you wouldn't do if you didn't have that neurological damage. So what, I'm calling you crazy? No, you're not crazy. You have neurological damage. You know what I mean? If you spent years getting neglected, or let's say you're 7 years old and you have to bathe your 2-year-old sister, 4-year-old brother, feed them, make sure they go to bed, get them off to daycare and stuff, while you have a parent that may be struggling with a mental health disorder or illness, or maybe struggling with an addiction, then it makes sense that when you go to school, you can't relate.
You can't relate to other
kids your age, because you're like, I'm on some grown man stuff or grown woman stuff over here.
I'm cooking and cleaning and making sure I drop my brothers off.
Yeah, somebody like, oh, they crazy. No, they're what we call parentified. That means you've had to take on certain things and get exposed to certain things that as a child you can't quite process because you haven't developed mentally yet to take on that process. You know what I mean?
That's mind blowing. That's you brought that up.
Yeah, but that is a lot of young people's experience.
Yeah. Now that you're saying it, like, I remember, going to high school with a couple of people that was like, yeah, man, I'm dragging this morning. I had to make sure my brother was up. He was good. Mm-hmm. And make sure we had to leave out the house. And, me not trying to be that person like, where your people's at? But, it was kind of just like, all right. And then me, like, not knowing, because I didn't experience it. Like, the only time I experienced like that is my mom was like, all right, my older brother will watch me. And that was only for, like, maybe an hour, 2 hours tops. It wasn't like, we get off the bus and he has to go make me dinner now. He has to help me with my homework, not only helping me with mine, but do his. It's, now that you're bringing that up, I was like, dang, man, like, some of these people, I can understand why they weren't, like, laughing and clowning with us in class, because it's like, they're like, man, that stuff's kiddish.
That kid stuff.
How is that funny?
You know what I mean?
That's not funny. Like,
so think about it. And then, you know what? Not all the time, because everybody responds differently. But a lot of times, individuals who dealt with that get in their like 30s and stuff, and start trying to live out the childhood that got stripped from them. You know what I mean?
A lot of kiddish things.
Why you doing that? Oh, you crazy? They're not crazy. Your childhood got stolen.
I say he never got the experience.
So that's why I said, what happened to you versus just focusing on what you doing. That's dumb. No, what happened to you? You know what I mean? What happened to you?
Let's really explore how this is and how it's affecting you today. I like that. I like that a lot.
That's some of the things that you can uncover in therapy.
You heard that? Therapy. You know what I mean?
Therapy. Counseling.
Whatever you want to call it, seek it.
Yeah.
It's to me, I think always having that one person, just even being even sometimes if you get a little sprinkle of bias, you still talking to someone. Mm-hmm. Please, everyone, get out there, talk to someone. You know, your heart's heavy, your mind's racing. Always talk to someone,
especially if you feel like giving up.
Yeah,
and if you're having suicidal thoughts, you're not crazy and you're not weak. You're suffering. You're in pain often. Mm-hmm. And talk to somebody.
Someone.
Yeah, talk to somebody. Don't just, don't give up. We don't want,
even if it's your dog. Someone.
Yeah, talk to somebody because, like I said, it doesn't have a look.
No.
There's no fixed look.
No, there's no fixed look.
There's no fixed look to depression. And there is no fixed look to suicidal ideation. I was even listening to a training one time where research has been showing that some people that commit suicide don't even have a mental health disorder or illness.
They just
reach this. They hit this place where they don't feel like the pain will end. They don't feel like anything will ever change. They feel just, I can't take this anymore. And sometimes they end up, unfortunately, making that decision and dying. And language is important, too. You don't want to tell people they committed suicide. Because it's like committing murder. You know what I mean? I committed a robbery. You know what I mean? No, they died. They died by
the trauma.
So
if we can just get people just to actually just talk about it instead of just holding it in. Mm-hmm. It's 2022, man. We don't hold nothing in. Well, I'm not gonna say we, but like I know with 2022 is everyone.
Hey, I see some stuff look like they don't hold nothing in.
I was gonna say that. I was like, man, well, wow. I see some things where it's like, okay, you gotta. I ain't need to know all that.
Yeah, man, shoot. And in a positive sense, it would be good that if it's less suppression, but then sometimes it comes out as not having any solid boundaries too. That's when it gets some of the stuff you see. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff, like it, man, it's challenging for young people to navigate this world. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a different level of pressure.
I think it's a whole different kind of beast that like no one's really had before.
I gotta hold this up because look, this thing right here. When I was in high school, I won't say there wasn't never no fights in the bathroom.
Oh man,
I'd be lying. But guess what? Wasn't no fights in the bathroom that got televised.
There wasn't always someone like, oh, World Star, like we about to get it. Like there wasn't none of that. Yeah. And the fact that like that is one of I love. Like I always say, social media is like a double-edged sword. You always take the good with the bad, but sometimes just the smallest little thing, it could set you get in an argument with someone, and then it's not physical, but there's a crowd now. Mm-hmm. Now it seems like if you don't do something, everyone gonna portray you like, oh, this dude's soft. This dude's not gonna do nothing.
You show up at school ready to fight over some old Twitter beef, Snapchat beef, IG beef. He ran his mouth. I saw we had to come.
And it's like sometimes it's like you don't even have to do that. You ain't never just post like.
Or sit down and talk about it.
I think nowadays, if we had to sit down, I think that would always clear up the air. I had a couple of conflicts, and it was just like, you know what? Let me sit down and see like where he came from. Like what did I say or how did I say it make him be like, all right, yo, let's just put the hands up. So I think sometimes if we could just back off the social media with like, I always say like, if you're angry and you're on social media, you're looking to cut throats. I think you're looking straight to cut someone down. You're looking to straight cut them down. If you can't get to them because you're typing physically, I'm gonna cut them down emotionally, and then that's every action has a reaction.
Think about all the pressure. Like I said, if I was having body image issues in high school, which I did have, and a lot of times as males, we don't talk about body. We make body image issues like it's just a woman's thing. Now we have body image issues too, so this is different, or manifests differently often. If I'm like, oh, I like the way my body look, there was no site for you to click on and be like, to see 100 different people who make you feel worse about yourself, and affect your self-image more. Now you can go. That's at your fingertips. Matter of fact, a lot of times that's what feeds that negative body image in the first place, because it's a constant.
See all them things. It's a constant feed.
Anxiety. I know you had asked why anxiety level is up. Also, too, is anxiety is fed primarily. Normally, there's 3 big factors: fear of the unknown, a lack of control or a perceived lack of control. And when something is chronic, that means you get exposed to it over and over and over again. Over and over. And think about it. We live in a world with 24-hour news cycles.
Yeah.
We live in a world where people post on social media. People don't even check to see if it's true or not before they post.
Before they react and be boom, like, that's not real.
And it's just
like, did you fact check?
Yeah. And then it's just everything is just shoved out at you. And there's just so much pressure. There's so much pressure. There's always been pressure though. But it's just it's a different level. Like I said, we didn't have it.
That's a whole different kind of level of pressure, because you're like, you say something wrong, or misquote something, or you wasn't trying to express your feelings in that way, but now it came out that way. Now you're in a whole heap of trouble.
And you
got people wanting to cancel you. You got people wanting,
Well, think about it too. One click can have you jammed up.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Like I might do something in Maryland, or I might have a situation in Maryland. One click.
Oh.
No matter where I go. Oh well, we gonna move you. We gonna send you down with your aunt in Texas.
Well,
it's there too. If it's on social media,
if it's really real bad,
I can't move away.
They gonna find you overseas.
Oh yeah, if they find out where you are, they gonna start tagging the location you at in the post.
Mm-hmm.
You see this dude?
Oh, I know where that background is.
Yep.
So it's just a whole level beast, man.
It's a different level of pressure that's on young people, and it affects them. It affects their mental health.
Oh, for sure.
And sometimes they feel like they can't talk to their parents.
Nope, because I think when you get that parent side of it, it's a little bit of judgment. To me, it's like a little bit of judgment, with a little bit of hint of trying to be unbiased and understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, no, it's not there. Because like you're my parent, so it's like I already think you're going. If I tell you something, like for some instance, like I remember the story that happened. Like someone threw, like I was in high school. We was in the locker room, and someone just threw something, and I thought it was funny. It hit somebody else. They were like, "What the f?" All flipping out. I thought it was funny. I go home and tell it to one of my parents, and they're like, "That's not funny. Like, why would you even?" I'm more mad at you because you laughed. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, bro, like, it was hilarious. Like, all of a sudden you just see something fly and you hear, what the, like,
Because the parents are not going to be unbiased. You know what I mean? That's why, ethically, and it's a shame you even got to put this in. We should know this. Ethically, I can't do therapy with family members. Because therapy, ethically, we're supposed to provide an unbiased, non-judgmental space. How am I going to sit with a family member and be unbiased? You know what I mean?
I couldn't.
You can't because you're invested.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm not invested with every person I work with, but it's a different type of investment. You know what I mean? It's a different type of investment. So, that's why sometimes you can't talk to a parent. Sometimes you can't talk to your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes they're going to give you things that are based on their concern about you. I'm going to give you something where I'm looking out. I might not even tell you that, hey, yeah, that's not the best way to go about that. Or that is toxic, or that you can't see why that created that feeling in that person. You don't always get that from a best friend, because a best friend I'm going to look out for you first.
Yeah.
Parent, my baby. No, you ain't messing with my baby.
You need that.
Baby might be flat out, flat off course, just straight, all the way
straight wrong. It's
but
just that unbiased.
Yeah, it's hard. It's impossible to provide a non-biased, non-judgmental, because first off, oftentimes my love will not allow me to just okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely.
So it's like sometimes it's just about having that space too. And I saw like your title was like why is therapy? So
she's gonna kill me. I don't remember all the time.
It's like why is therapy? So is it really this big and this open that?
What is it?
You know what I mean?
But now I gotta search it up. Kia don't kill me. Kia don't kill me. Because I'm searching it. I'm searching it up as we speak. So Kia, I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm getting it right now, everyone. All right, so it was why has therapy become a safety net for so many?
Mm-hmm. And in reality, I mean, it's still becoming this thing. It's better than it was.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better.
Definitely a lot better than it was. People are definitely accessing it. But you still have so many people that don't.
That still don't. Yeah. They still hold on to that stigma of like, I'm not. Yeah. I don't want to use the C word for any.
No, I'm
not crazy. I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy. And I can handle it myself. And I ain't going in there for telling no stranger my business. Because, like I said, let's not even talk about family secrets. Ooh. You get prepped.
You like a secret service agent.
Let me tell you
something. Nothing. That go to your grave.
You better. Now, when you go in there, you better not talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Better not.
And I don't do nothing but just stump the growth.
Well, yeah, you're feeding that.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeding that secrecy and me not telling anything. You're continuing to feed that.
I ain't gonna do nothing but just for me to it's just sticking yourself another pit.
Yeah.
Another pit. Man. But Mr. Clifton, way over my time. I just looked. I was like, damn, bro, we've been here for a while.
Yeah, you're gonna get in all kinds of
you hear me at the office. Why am I not in some trouble?
But it's only because the subject is so broad. Like you can break it down section to section. You can literally do an hour plus
just dealing with this
every piece.
And I think with that being said, I think that we need to have another part 2 to this. I really do. I want to push this of talking to someone. You can be the strongest, but you need some God, some help. I want to push that. I truly believe what you do is amazing. I think it takes a level of patience that I don't have yet. Still growing. And the way that you care for each and every individual that comes through and talks to you it's such amazing. And I'm happy to be somewhat a part of it whenever you come through and we get our little chit chats going, or just seeing like the smiles that you give when you're walking your clients out. Like I can really tell, like, yo, they got something like it's only up from here,
Yeah, because and I'll close with this. Everybody wants to be heard. That's one of those basic human needs. We want to feel like we belong to something. We want to feel like we're heard. We want to feel like we matter.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Those are basic emotional needs we have. And just being heard is powerful. Like sometimes some people just the fact that they could get it out begins this great process.
Helps
like,
wonder.
Man, you don't know how much weight fell off. Because
for sure.
You heard me.
You actually heard.
You heard me. You didn't.
Like
I didn't talk,
it.
And you were like, No, I felt like you heard me. I felt like you got it. I felt like what I had to say mattered. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's all people want.
It's just to be heard.
They want to know.
I like that.
You hear me. I matter.
I love it. Because that's literally certain people's like they don't ever get to really speak up or actually say how they feel, and the fact that like you come in unbiased, unjudgmental, willing to listen, lend an ear out. I think it's amazing. I think it's just wonderful, and the fact that we're doing this at the time that it is now, I think it's a great time. I think it's a wonderful time. I think you can get a lot of stuff done and get your word out to a lot of people, especially with this social media times too.
Yeah, you can. And like we said, that's one of the beauties.
One of the beauties. It's a double edge, but it's a beauty. Do you have any, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, want to put any contact?
Oh, definitely. If you're looking for services, or if you even want to just inquire and ask any questions about therapy and counseling, I can be reached at 443-819-8918, or you can email me at cliftonbrightjr@gmail.com, or you can follow me on social media.
Yeah.
Because I told you I'm on social media.
Give him a follow.
It's Clifton_Bright_LCPC on Instagram. It's Clifton Bright on Facebook. I also have a Bright House Counseling page on Facebook as well.
Yeah, you guys don't hesitate to hit him up. Don't hesitate to hit about any inquiries. I'm trying to tell you this. I ain't gonna say you work wonders because like you do so much more than work wonders. Like you really invest in these people and really want to see them succeed and grow as a person. So I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come sit down with us. Get more in depth with this mental. Is it even like? Can I say crisis? It's kind of like a crisis, not mental crisis, but I feel like a lot of us are hidden.
Yeah, I think we've been in a mental health crisis for decades, and we just, you know what I mean.
I think now it's starting to get pushed up to the front.
Now. Yeah, we're dealing with it now. Where we used to just say,
toughen up.
Like, you talking to my dad, man. But now they even embrace, and counseling.
And then
back in the day, please, man.
Mm-hmm. No, they wasn't going for that. The fact that it's coming around.
Yeah. So we'll deal with it this way. But how much damage was done dealing with it that way?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? How many scars do they have, or even open wounds do you still have handling it that way?
Man, that's 100%. I can't agree with you more. So as y'all know, we are definitely having a part 2 of this. This is a topic that's important to me. I think it should be important to a lot of people. I think that this message in these episodes, I'm hoping that they get to the right people that come out, that even if you don't talk to my main man's right here, that you go and you talk to someone.
Exactly.
Someone. So on this note, this is Let's Talk the Talk. My main man's Mr. Clifton. I appreciate you again.
Appreciate you,
On that note, you guys have a good night, and we out here.